I gotta honestly say right now that this fight with Franky and Senor Pink and Senor Pink's backstory is easily top 10 favorite moments of mine of Dressrosa. Like, yeah, we had the Sabo stuff, and of course that's more exciting and grand or whatever, but that backstory, finding that shit out, and it's like a character that, it's been, what, like about a year or two since we've seen Senor Pink. It's been a bit, maybe a year and a half or something like that. We've seen him and, his quirk and his, like, this goofy guy, and you're like, oh, okay, it's One Piece, he's walking around in a diaper with a pacifier, you get used to it and shit, but when you could take something like that as goofy and give a deeper meaning to it, and then the deeper meaning that we got from this actual chapter where we find out more about him, I'm like, yo, honestly, Oda did it again with this backstory. I don't care. I know there's going to be people, no, this isn't big progression, this and that. First of all, another executive down. The way the story was told and his backstory flat out sad as shit and amazing. I really loved it. And honestly, this is one of the better fights of Dressrosa with the executives. Franky and him been going tooth and nail, and what Franky took, the ass whooping, that suplex and everything, like everything that has happened to Franky, look at how much of an ass whooping he took, but he took down an executive at the end of the day, and he's one of the only Straw Hats that is actually fighting. So again, it's a little bit different. It's not everyone is fighting one person. He's one of the only few that is actually fighting an executive, and he did his thing. And at the same time, it was manly, respectful. Like, as a man, I think you can respect the swag, the debonair, just everything about Franky and Senor Pink, and the manliness and the respect that they had for one another. So starting off the beginning of this chapter, the first page with the Tontadas, I was like, oh my god, get them out of here, I don't care. So the first page was like, whatever. Second page was a huge setup, and at the same time, it was something that you can definitely foresee, being major. Like the whole thing with Sherry's being able to give up her life in order to save somebody, which I thought at the same time, wasn't that like one of Law's abilities as well, that he could give up his life for somebody else or something like that? But anyway, the heal fruit, basically finding out that it has a super secret technique that, Sherry can basically die for somebody else's well-being, so that they could be revived or live, or et cetera, or at the same time, it could be either for that or to restore the factory, whatever the case may be. That's going to be something huge. I don't know if it's going to be used for the factory, but at the same time, it sets up a plot device and plot armor for something later on, like when the major fights go down, Luffy versus Doflamingo. Let's just say Luffy dies or Law dies. Sherry can do there, and I mean, at the end of the day, none of us give a fuck about Sherry. If you're a diehard Sherry fan, get the fuck out of here, okay? Because nobody is a fucking diehard Princess Cherry fan. Like, yeah, oh man, I have fan art of her. Come on, stop it. So if she dies, no one's gonna care, and that's where it's kind of like, oh, it's a plot device at the end of the day. I could see it coming a mile away that this will be something that will be used for, a major part, and it's unfortunate because it takes the danger out of certain aspects of what might happen later on, especially like if the factory is destroyed. Well, it could come back, or if somebody, gets killed, whatever the case may be. So a little bit like, regarding that aspect. But honestly, Senor Pink's backstory, finding out what went with him, and I don't know how old Senor Pink is. I know Franky's in his 30s, if I'm correct, like maybe 36, 34, 36, something like that. So I don't know what's Senor Pink's age or whatever, if he's in his 40s or 50s or 30s or whatever, but it was real interesting, to be honest with you. Again, I think they're too close in age to not actually fit in the timeline or whatever, but what if, and we know Franky's real name was actually Cuddy Flame. I think that was his real name, or that was the name that he had before he became Franky or whatever, Cuddy Flame. But we don't really know too much. I don't think we really, again, if I'm forgetting, whatever, but we don't know too much about Franky's early life and his parents and things like that. So what if Lucian, he was actually Gimlet, you know what I'm saying? Again, I don't know where's the age range, what Senor Pink's age is, but it could very well be. I mean, Senor Pink, maybe he was like 20 when that happened. If he's like in his 50s now or something like that, it could fit. But that's just, of course, some speculation, basis speculation. It's just kind of like wild out there, because at the end of the day, Franky's a nut job, and who knows, maybe when he was a baby, something happened where he got separated and they thought he died or something like that, and that would be crazy in the end for them. And overall, just the way it was done. Like, the backstory was sad as hell, had me honestly getting a little teary-eyed, and it was just done very well. It was told very well, and at the same time, it's in the midst of a pretty fucking awesome fight. Like, honestly, I was not giving a fuck about this fight, and I looked through the chapter a little bit just to see, okay, what this chapter is going to be about. I like to just get a glance at it, and I saw Franky and Senor Pink. I'm like, oh my gosh, not again, just get it over with. Then you actually read the content, and you get the substance of what was going on, the backstory, everything, what happened with Lucian and everything, and I loved it. Honestly, I thought it was a very good chapter. We didn't get huge progression as far as like going to the Luffy stuff, whatever, but in a sense, another executive down. Great storytelling as far as the way, Senor Pink's backstory, making a small, weird quirk of some guy like a fucking baby have deeper meaning and substance. Oda loves to do that, and he does it very well, and this chapter showcases it yet again. I really don't care. I would say the very first page where it's like, oh man, Sherry has a weird quirk, she wants to be carried, she's soon dead or whatever, like, get the fuck out of here. Fuck that shit. Stop, Tontadas, please. Second page was a setup for later events with her power. I don't know what's going to be, if it's going to be major. I'm hoping that it really just doesn't suck the life out of any danger that we possibly could have later on in the future. Like, sacrifice Man Sherry for law or the factory or whatever the case may be. By the way, Joel, get the fuck out of here already. Can you just die, please? So, there. The Franky versus Senor Pink stuff, done very well. Franky got his ass kicked, but ultimately did, what he set out to do, and he defeated him. And at the same time, he left with, like, pride and some manly shit where he said, let's have a drink and you tell me that story about Lucienne and Gimlet. Like, that was awesome, honestly. Very good chapter. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Very good stuff. Some good progression as far as getting rid of another executive, and it was told very well. This is really good storytelling. Just the beginning with the Tontadas is kind of like cheesy setup that kind of takes a little bit of danger out, and, I mean, get the fuck... Come on, Tontadas, get out! But let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. How did you feel about Senor Pink's backstory? How did you feel about the fight with Franky? This was honestly one of the, if you look at it all together collectively with the backstory and the manliness and the pride and everything, this is one of the better fights of Dressrosa. It honestly is, in my opinion. And your overall thoughts of the chapter, how did you feel about another executive going down? I think from the majority of the executives that we've seen gone down recently, from Lao, G, and all these people, this was probably the best one. Just your overall thoughts of the chapter, but that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that'd be amazing. I'm Forever World, and as always, people, have an awesome day.